So what's it take to make all the childish stuff end? Of course you don't. The blaring of the music, the intentional stomping around, it's just childish, okay? What can make it end?
I'm not doing anything. I'm living my life.
Okay. Has messaged us saying, dude, I don't know. She's just being childish. You gotta give her some time to calm down. That's why she's stomping and yelling.
No, he didn't.
Do you need me to get the messages?
I don't need anything from either of you.
Okay.
Just let me alone.
Then stop blaring Frozen at the stairs and all that dumb shit.
Maybe cowards. A bunch of cowards. So it's just going to be cowardice, childish stuff.
Are they just ignoring you?
Of course they are. You can't reason with it. I mean, come on.
Talk. No, let me talk. I promise. Why can't you talk?
She's not going to talk.
You guys are constantly recorded right there.
Good.
It's all over because I told the landlord because we have two fucking kids. One who has like
That's it. Wait there, honey.
And the other who doesn't fucking understand why there's so much fucking noise. Why can't you just agree to disagree? What the fuck have I done to you?
Calm down.
Trying to get you kicked out of my house. Trying to
ask one time.
Okay, listen. Nobody did anything about your job. We already got through that with Shane.
She already tried to fucking trick us with that. And he sits and talks to us, and then he walked away.
So what you guys just saw was my husband confronting the crazy girl that lives above me and her friend who I don't even know where to begin. But I don't even know where to start with this other than you guys know that if you're from Karuna Satori ASMR and you've been with me for a while, I used to do story times, and the story times that I would do would always be like crazy from my past. I only have a few, but they're always like packed full of like the crazy shit that used to happen to me. Now, my life used to be extremely dramatic. I was always involved in some kind of drama, like bad. Like either I would involve myself or I would somehow get drug into it, and I left that life. Like I left that life early 2017, late 2016. Basically, when my kids were gone, you know, I had nothing to live for, so at that time, you know, besides trying to get them back, but in the meantime, I had nothing. Nobody was working, nobody was making money, there was shit going on, so, you know, people usually, like, fill their minds with either, like, drugs or alcohol, and somehow my mind would always just get filled with other people's drama. So I used to, you know, it was just one of those things, and I'm happy to say for a full year now, there's nothing that's been going on, at least in my, way of happening. I had some problems with my mother-in-law and stuff like that. That's already taken care of. It's being taken care of, whatever. But I'm talking about other people. So I'm actually, I believe in person, a really nice person. Like, I start out, I'll give anybody a chance. I think that, every single human being on this planet deserves a chance. It's all about perspective and all about what happens when you meet somebody. So let's just start with the story time. I'll get into that. But basically what I was trying to get at is all my story times stayed over on my ASMR channel back when. But like after posting my stalker story time, that got a lot of attention and a lot of views, and, a lot of the opinions said, why don't you put this on a side channel? Like, we love to hear about it, but, how about you put it somewhere where it's not, part of a relaxation channel. So my ASMR channel is kind of like, just the safe haven, the relaxation place, station, whatever, relaxation station, I forget. That's a song, I think, by the Grateful Dead, I'm not sure. Anyway, so here we are, and today's story time is going to be about my crazy, psycho, emo neighbor. And the reason I say emo, I'm not the type to put labels on people, but she loves that label. Like, she calls herself emo, she wants to look emo, she says this, she used to at least, forgive me, because we used to be friends for a little bit. And the reason that we're not friends anymore, and you can tell that she was never a real friend, is the dumbest fucking reason you'll ever know in your life. She has stolen from me, she has used me, like crazy shit. I'm not gonna get Victor in this one, it's just a stupid story. So grab a snack, if you're waking up or putting on makeup or something, just, you wanna listen, there's gonna be some footage in here. I'm blocking out her name. I don't know if you guys know where I live, but she's my neighbor. That doesn't mean any location or anything. Under copyright use, I think it's 107, whatever, I'm allowed to use whatever the fuck footage I want, so it really doesn't matter. I just want to be respectful, because as much as I am making this story time, it's just worth hearing. So last year, around the end of March, April, our lease had ended in February, 2 years ago, 1 year ago, whenever I used to live. You guys probably aren't familiar with my town, but we used to live elsewhere. Our lease ended, we were just getting our kids back. Everything was going great, so we decided to move. We temporarily moved to a place down in a not so great part of town. It was just whenever I started making money, and, Victor, he was working, but the money was just it wasn't good, so we were humbling ourselves, and we just moved into a temporary place. So Victor's father actually drove me around after I got my license. I got my license in February of last year, around this month. I think it was like January, 27th. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Dates don't matter because it doesn't matter. Okay, so I got my license, and Vic's dad would drive, like, what happened was he gave me a car when I got my license. It was a 2003 Cadillac, and the Cadillac had head gasket issue, and eventually it just broke down. So we were going to look at a car. So he took me down to this area in my town, like real far away, and we seen this house on the left, and it's this beautiful white house. It's gorgeous. It's, for a family. Like, it looked big, it looked everything. There was a for rent sign in the yard. So we called, and our landlords now were the people there, and they were like, oh yeah, feel free to go check out the house, it's open, they gave me the code or whatever. And so we stopped and looked at it, and let me tell you right now, it was beautiful. Like, it was so pretty. But she said, like, whenever I call back, she's like, oh, I was like, what's the door on the side? And she's like, oh, that's an upstairs apartment and things like that. So I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. She did say it was sublet living. She said that she wanted to rent it out, but at the same time, she was like, I promise anybody that we rent it out to will be nice people. It'll only be a couple at most, no pets, no nothing. We were allowed to have pets because we're at the bottom of the apartment. We were allowed to have one dog and one cat. I believe that was the term. So anyway, we met up with the landlord. She was so sweet. She heard about our past. We had a little bit of a past in the first apartment we rented. People have problems, whatever. But she heard our story. She called, I think, one of our other landlords. Things were good, whatever. So she rented us the place. So for, I think, 2 or 3 months, we moved in there. It was great. It was just starting spring into summer. Like, it was gorgeous. Like, we loved it. Like, the house itself is amazing. Like, the space is decent. 3 bedrooms, you know what I mean? The 1 bedroom's a little small, but it doesn't matter. So then finally, I think it was around, we moved in there in April, May. It was around June. It was at least 1 month before, the landlord started like showing the place out upstairs. So there was one couple that showed up and they were just like not nice. Like they just didn't seem nice. The guy was a little bigger, nothing wrong with that. But in regards to sublet living, you know, the pounding on the top of the stairs, you know, that can be loud if you're a heavier person, you know, nothing wrong with weight or anything like that generally. So they went up and they didn't seem interested because, you know, it's just one door. Like there's only one way into the place. There, you know, the yard kind of belongs to the lower place. You know, we have kids and stuff like that. The bottom part of the house is all family living. And then the top part of the house is just a really, really small apartment. It's like 1 bedroom. So they left, and then one day, like I think it was like a week later, we started like in the house just on and off hearing noise upstairs. We're like, oh, the landlords are probably there remodeling, whatever. And then one day, you know, we seen like people taking boxes upstairs, and we were like, oh, okay, so somebody did get the place. Please don't let it be that couple, whatever. Even though they were nice, it was just noise factor. That's what we were concerned about the most. So we go out, and somebody's bringing something upstairs, and there's a car in the driveway, and there's 2 people in there. They're really young looking. And I go up and I introduce myself. Like I actually was going to the car to leave. I think I was going to the dollar store or something. And the couple in the car, I was like, oh, hello, you know, what's your name? Are you guys looking at the place? They're like, oh, no, we're renting the place. And then the landlords pulled in right behind us. Like I was getting in my car, and then there's just one, you know, parking lot, whatever. And then the landlords pulled in and they were like, oh, you know, hey, Sarah, this is the new neighbors. I'm just going to name them Jason and Kiki, because she reminds me of Kiki Cannibal from the Scene days back in 2005. You know, those emo people that are, I used to do it, like, literally look at this picture, like, yeah, like, I used to have, like, the stripes in my hair, but anyway, that's not the story. So she introduced us, and the people, Kiki and Jason were, like, super fucking nice. Like, they were incredible, especially Jason. Like, I have my husband and I have no problem with Jason. He's a pushover. He has his balls in a jar. Poor guy. Like, I feel horrible for him, but it's fine. He's really cool. Whatever. He even, you know, sat down one night. He texted us. Like, I'll show you all this stuff. Like, this is going to be like a part 1. I'm just going to explain the story blatantly, you know what I mean? Like, give a general overview of it. And then if you guys want to go deeper into it, like, I'll show you the footage and stuff like that. But if you guys want to go deeper into the text and like the situations and all that stuff, like, if you want a part 2 of this, you let me know, because this is boring. Like, this is the part where I'm just explaining the backstory and stuff like that, and then we'll get into the real story. So maybe you guys, if you want, can do a timestamp or something if you're following along and care, because like, I don't know who cares about this shit, but it's fun to listen to. Like, I just watched somebody on YouTube, and he's like, my children don't exist, and it was like an everybody's recommended, but it wasn't on trending, and I was like, what the fuck? But it was a crazy story. Like, this poor girl, or this poor guy, like, this girl just like was like, yeah, I had twins, and turns out like she didn't. It was crazy. But anyway, so, you know, we meet the neighbors, and Kiki and Jason are amazing. You know, they seemed so sweet. So, you know, they move in a couple days. It's like, it's noisy, but that's expected when you move in. You know, we had no problems, nothing. They'd come down, they put seats on their side of the porch where their door is. We put seats on our side of the porch. You know, we were still moving in technically too. And, you know, summer was coming. It was the beginning of June. We just put out a pool, and, you know, the kids would go out. We were all like, it seemed like we were all connecting as friends. I added her on Facebook. I added her boyfriend on Facebook. You know, Victor actually grew up with Jason. Like, Jason, excuse me, was one of Victor's friends in the group of friends way back in, like, high school days. So they knew each other, and that was pretty cool. But there was something off. Like, there was something off about Kiki. Fucking Kiki. Like, her name is Kiki Cannibal. Like, I don't know. But, something was off about her. Like, I couldn't tell what it was. Like, she was too nice. Like, she was too fucking innocent. And I told her that, too. Like, because she started eventually, like, there would be time, like, okay, so whenever they first moved in, the noise started pretty much maybe a month after they moved in. So that would be in July sometime. And it started immediately. So right after they moved in, the noise started. And it was only whenever she was home. So, you know, he would have, he just started school and stuff like that. And she would be home. And, okay, so the landlord said, you know, upstairs, there's nothing wrong with, like, company here and there. But, like, there would be this girl, and she's a bigger girl, like, she's up there, so she has this little son or whatever, and he's, like, always, like, attached to her hip and stuff like that, and Kiki would bring her over and her kid over. So they'd be running upstairs and this kid would be running back and forth, and I could hear this girl's feet like stomp, like, and it was just, you know, it's annoying, but we dealt with it because they were nice people. We had no problems. There was no really sleeping problems. And then that started. So during this time, it was around the end of July, whatever, the noise upstairs at night started horribly. Now in the lease, it says quiet time is after 7 p.m. and the noise can start at 7 a.m. It ends at 7 a.m. So one night, Vic and I were asleep in our bedroom, and their living room was above our bedroom at the time. We moved the whole house now. Like, we are nowhere near where the noise is, where they want to stomp and, you know, act childish. But they weren't intentionally being that way. But one night, it just got so bad. It was like bang, 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 right above the house that... And my son, he has behavioral problems. And when I say behavioral problems, I mean, like, if he's not in his routine, he'll have a bad day the next day. It's kind of like on the brink of autism, but you know, I don't want to go into that personal realm right now, but basically if he's not in his routine, he's going to have a bad day. If he wakes up from his sleep schedule, it's going to be a bad time. So one night, you know, the pounding above us was so fucking severe that my daughter and my son, my daughter who's over in the back where no noise is, gets up. She's screaming, he's screaming, you know, and we were like, okay, so Victor went outside and pounded on the door, and Kiki's boyfriend Jason comes down and he's wasted and everything like that. And I guess they were having a fight of some sort. And then, you know, he was like, I'm sorry, man, you know, we'll calm down. It was great, whatever. So like literally that ended. And then the next night, the noise started again at the same time. This was on a weekend. And the noise was so bad this time that what woke my kids up wasn't the just general pounding. It was this huge fucking slam, like a bum, 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 bum. And then I guess that I was asleep during all of this, but this is what Victor said. But I guess Vic woke up, he got out, you know, the kids were awake. I slept through it because I was wearing earplugs at the time. I was like, fuck this shit. So he went out, and Kiki knocked on our door and said, you know, hey, you know, my boyfriend fell down the steps. He's wasted. Can you help us? And they were like, I guess Kiki and Vic were like debating on the porch whether to take him to the hospital. He was trashed and he had a big gash in the back of his head. And, you know, Vic's like, come on, like, this is ridiculous. Like, I have kids, like, we have a family down here. Like, we're not living this, like, childish shit party life that you guys are living right now. He didn't say that, but he definitely said it the next day. But, you know, that was fine. So around this time, this is when all this stuff started, like, kind of colliding in a way. The noise was getting bad. We weren't saying anything. And so, ew, I like swallowed smoke. After that, she started asking me every morning. No, I didn't take her every morning, but she started asking me every morning. She's like, can you take me to work? She's a cashier. And she lives like maybe 5 miles up the road. So every day she would be like, you know, hey, can you take me to work this weekend? Or can you take me to work this Wednesday? Or can you take me to work this Thursday? Can you give us a ride to the grocery store? And the rides just started. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. So giving her a ride to work turned into, okay, can you pick me up at this time too? And it was fine. You know, they were neighbors. They were cool. I was fine with it. You know, Vic and Jason would sit out on the porch. Me and Kiki would drive up here or whatever. And like, you know, I just felt like I couldn't connect to her for some reason. Like, there was just something off about her. I was always, every time I was like, why are you so sweet? She's like, I think the worst thing I ever did was call Jason a piece of shit. And I was like, yeah, you're way too pure if you heard the shit that came out of my mouth at one point in time in life. Like, but, so the rides just started becoming like maybe twice a week to like 3 times a week. And then it was almost every other day. Like, it was literally like maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then like Friday or Saturday. I'd take her to work at like noon and then pick her up at 9 p.m. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's bullshit. Like, I love helping people. I'll help anybody. I'll lend anybody money. I have no problem, because I was in that position like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. And it's shitty. It's shitty having to ask somebody for help. It's shitty having to ask somebody for money. And I know what that feels like. And I have both means now to be able to help other people. So I'm like, fuck yeah, like, I'll take you. And then that's, you know, happened from her saying, okay, now we're going to calm down the rides, and I'm going to be like, hey, you know, can you take us here? Can you take us there? Can you run here? Can you run there for me? Can you pick this up on the way home? Can you, bring this to our door? Can you go grab us coffee? Can you do this? And I'm running around at this point. I'm the only one who drives in the family right now until Victor's fine is paid off. He has a parking ticket out in San Mateo, California. It was a very large amount that, like, it's not payable in one balance, no matter how much fucking money I make, because this was over a period of like 7 or 8 years. So once he gets, that paid off, then he'll be able to drive again. So I'm the main driver in the house. I'm driving everybody fucking, God, I'm literally like a taxi at this point. Now, Jason never asked us for rides. It was always her. And I mean, she was sweet. Like, it had nothing to do, like, that wasn't really the bothering, because during this time there was fucking noise, constant fucking noise everywhere, and this lasted all the way up to Christmas. The whole routine of me waking up early to take her ass to fucking work, yet the whole night I got no sleep, like, my kids got no sleep, my son's crying in the day. It was that fucking bad, like, it was shitty. So, Vic would go out in days and be like, come on, guys, like, please calm the fuck down. He'd be like, I'm sorry, she's pissed off. I'm sorry, there's this. I'm sorry, there's that. You know what? Let's see if I have it, because I know that I do. Basically, it was to the point where it led up to the breakdown, which was Christmas Eve. I went shopping a day before Christmas Eve, and I spent, I got each of them a $50 gift certificate. For Jason, I got a $50 gift certificate for American Eagle, and for Kiki, I bought her a $50 gift certificate for Sephora. And then a month or 2 months prior, for her birthday, I bought her like $100 in makeup from Sephora as well, and she was just loving it. Now, I didn't obviously give it to them until like later on Christmas Eve. And here's the texts. And then I'll show you guys some video. Oh, and by the way, because I'm reading this as I go up, we let them use our internet. They had our internet password, so they had free Wi-Fi. They weren't paying for internet at all. They weren't paying for garbage. They were using our garbage. Let's see what else they were doing. The borough actually came for them. And then there was times that they would, like, Kiki would come down and she would, like, reciprocate and watch the kids for, like, 30, 40 minutes. The last time they watched the kids was the time that we went Christmas shopping. So let's go to Christmas Eve. I went shopping. I had everything planned for Kiki. I had this rainbow knit bun hat that she really wanted from a mutual friend of ours that I was going to go pick up a couple miles down the road and stuff like that. I had the gift certificate for her. I had the American Eagle thing for him. And it's just, like, all the shit that I went out of the way to do for them, you know what I mean? My son went shopping for them at his school at the little, what do you call it, Santa's workshop or whatever, where you buy the, like, $1 gifts. Like, we were just, like, we had pumpkin whip, my grandma's famous pumpkin whip or whatever, I'm so proud of it, for them. It was just sad. So anyway, the night of Christmas Eve, I actually have his message up. I'm going to get my landlord's message up. I'm not going to say anything she says back because that's just private. It doesn't really matter. But, so anyway, Christmas Eve. Or this was the day before Christmas Eve. I'm sorry. So that night, I guess, like, the neighbors decided to throw some fucking party or whatever and bring all their little tween friends over. And it was all girls. Like, I feel bad for him. Like, he doesn't really have, like, many friends. And I remember her telling me in the car that, like, his only best friend she hates because they were together at one point. It's one of those situations. I'd feel the same way, you know what I mean? But Vic and I are in an open relationship, so it doesn't bother us anymore. So that night was horrible. We had 2 dinners to go to the next day and for Christmas Eve, and it started out, like, I think it was around 7 p.m. and the noise was so fucking bad that there was running back and forth and back and fucking forth and back and forth and back and forth. And, like, literally, it was just so bad. So here we go. I messaged them Sunday, December 24th at 6:03 a.m. I said, it's 6 a.m. My family has been up for 3 days now with the neighbors in their company. And the company, I mean, for the 2 days before was, I guess, her niece and nephew. And again, we're in a sublet house. There's nothing wrong with having, there's nothing wrong with having company over, you know what I mean? Even the landlord said that. There's, like, But she didn't know how fucking long they were there. Like, they were staying there. And the noise that goes upstairs, it's just literally like an upstairs. It's not like a whole other apartment. It's one home split into two, like added different piping and things like that to rent it out to two people. And that's fine. It's a huge house. It's, you know, adequate. And, but yeah, like, these kids are running around all day. Like, we couldn't fucking even watch TV, blare music, blare the TV, nothing. No fucking respect at all. So she didn't know that, and she messaged them. But here's what I said first. I said, it's 6 a.m. My family has been up for 3 days now with the neighbors in their company. We had to sleep on the couch, and we did. We had to move the kids to the couch, and we had to sleep in the corner of the living room. And I said, no, it's not for Christmas, it's babysitting. We've begged them to stop. We have countless messages since we've moved in. Nobody wants problems, so we keep quiet. We let them use our internets, our trash cans, and I help out her with rides to work. And then I said, last night it was them getting drunk and they are still awake. And this was at 6 a.m. and they were still awake, pounding around. I said, I'm sorry on Christmas Eve. I said her name. There's 5 people up there right now. I have 2 little kids going to 2 family dinners today. I've gotten no sleep. My husband and I put them on the couch the night before we slept in the corner too. All I'm asking is if you could maybe say something. I know it's Christmas and I know it's before Christmas Day. And she said, I'll deal with this after a bit. And then later on at 8:44, she said, I just sent them a text. And I said, I'm really sorry to have messaged you on Christmas Eve, especially at 6 a.m. This started a good month after they moved in. Vic, my husband, knew Jason from back in school, so it made things easier, which was nice. I said, we started letting them use our internet. We said only 2 devices and they use about 10. They started with 4 and then went up, so we figured out how to cut the devices off. No biggie for now. Then the pounding starts. From the day Kiki moved in, she said she had a heavy foot, which she did. She did warn us about that when she moved in. She's like, I have a heavy foot. People always say I'm too loud. So I let that go. And I said, I'm sure our kids can be loud sometimes, 100%. So yeah, once in a while, you know, is fine. But we're giving her rides to work, and I usually have no problem with that. I pay our trash $60 every 3 months, which it's actually $60 a month for 2 bags. I think it's like 40 or 60. And we just gave them our own trash can. I know they can't afford it, so we definitely don't mind. When we didn't have trash, Vic carried theirs across the street, even with all the grocery bags full of beer cans and liquor. Blah, blah, blah. It's a nice relationship. Not too involved. Jason drinks a lot, and that's a problem. He's on parole. But they start, and yeah, she's aware of all this anyway. Like, he has to let legally people know that he's on parole, and he drinks all the fucking time. I mean, it's not the same now, and that's why we waited. Like, we waited, and we thought, why not just call the cops? Why not just do this? Why not just do that? Maybe a warning will shut them the fuck up. Like, or like, at least have the respect of nighttime stop. Daytime means nothing. Be as loud as you fucking want, as long as there's no kids, but like, this is ridiculous. Like, it's to the point where I'm just like, fuck this shit. So, anyway, blah, 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 blah. First, I said, they start around 8 or 9 p.m. First, it will be just walking, which it is, and then straight up wrestle death sounds. I mean, stomping. And I know their living room is directly above our bedroom. I don't expect peace and quiet. They have to live too. And I told them that 4,200,000 whatever number I put here times. Blah, blah, blah. We've asked them probably around 16 times since they've moved in to quiet down, but the past 3 days have been a nightmare. It wasn't just the bedroom, it's the entire house. She said she was sorry because she did. She came down later. She's like, I'm sorry for being loud. Our nieces and nephews are here. They said they weren't spending the night. And that's what started it. Like 2 days before, they're like, oh, you know, we're just baby. They spent the night for 2 fucking nights. Like, all day, all night is fucking pounding of these little kids and just whatever. And it's different. And then I said Thursday they had an argument, so there was shuffling above our bedroom. We lived, but whenever the kids came during the day, of course there was noise. So I said about, this is so long, like, this is literally, like, I was telling her all about, like, them upstairs and what they talk about and stuff like that. And she said, she said back, I told her, you know, I'm just gonna generalize it. They have to be quiet after 10 p.m. Any issues after this, you need to get a hold of the police, blah, blah, blah. I hope you have a Merry Christmas, and I hope she calms down. So then, she told us about some other stuff, blah, blah, blah. And here's where the music starts. Like, hold on. Let's see. I don't know if you can hear that very well. They started, because whenever the landlord She sent her 2 texts after this, so I'm gonna put the clip here. This was, excuse me, the day after, this was on the day after Christmas Day, so. Okay, that was the first thing. That was where our bedroom was at the time. And now here is where they stopped blaring music in their living room and moved all the way over to their kitchen, where our kitchen is. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, what is that? That is so loud. So, like, I was like, I messaged Jason, because she blocked me on all social media accounts after that. Like, she didn't even let me talk. Like, she didn't even, like, give me, you know what I mean, a heads up. She just started blocking me on all social media accounts, because she got all pissy. She acted like a child and couldn't just, you know, calm down and shut the fuck up and, like, talk reasonably. That's why you saw that first confrontation in the beginning of the video. That was the first confrontation we had, was with her sitting there and acting like a kid. She wouldn't even look me in the eye. She wouldn't look my husband in the eye. She acted like we weren't there, and that's what children do. That is, they ignore confrontation because there's fear. Like, she's, you know, she's scared of confrontation. It's so childish. It's so gross. Like, I cannot. So anyway, she started the noise. So then I messaged her boyfriend one night. And that's who I just told you about. And he blatantly says back, Jason. She said, well, first I started, December 29th. I said, hey, I know Kiki is mad at me. I hope you guys got your letter and cards, because after that I felt bad. Like, I felt bad for contacting the landlord. You know, even with all the fucking noise in the house, I was like, I don't want problems with these people. Like, I just don't. Like, because then they're gonna start stomping louder, and I didn't think of that at first. So I left their $100 gift cards, you know, the $50, and the hat I never went and picked up. I actually messaged the seller girl, and I was like, this girl's a bitch. Like, I can't stand this. Like, no way. But I left him there, and Jason came down one morning and he's like, thank you so very much for this. He's like, I really, really appreciate it. He's like, I can't speak for her, but I really appreciate it. So after I went in, I was like, hey, I know Kiki's mad at me. I hope you guys got your letter and cards. Anyway, we wanted to know if you wanted some of my grandma's pumpkin whip. And I said, that's why I'm texting you. And then blah, blah, blah. And then this was on December 29th. The noise continued. Here's another clip of the noise like 2 days later.
I said,
We are unsure if you guys are paying for your own garbage, so we moved your garbage where it used to be so we wouldn't be charged, because even after the fucking noise, they had the audacity to think that they were going to use our garbage still. Like, we were still going to pay for their garbage because she was being a pouty little bitch. And I was like, no. So I moved the shit over in the corner of the yard, and, you know, Vic moved his stuff, or we moved their trash over where it used to be so our garbage wouldn't pick it up and we'd have to pay for that. Because if they're going to act immature, namely her, not Jason, but Kiki, then, you know, they can fuck out of here with their, you know, their shit. So I will never, ever, ever pay for somebody's, you know, immaturity. How's that? I said, that I said, we are calling the trash company today, so we will put the trash out where we had it, and whatever company you guys are using, you can find one and either put it out in the front of the house or elsewhere, because the trash goes out Friday. So he was out on the porch the next day, and I came out and I confronted him, and I was like, because they come down to smoke, and now she will not come down by herself. Like, she has to have company by her all the time, because I confronted her twice, and the second time was a little bit more aggressive than the first time that you seen in that clip. And I said, on Friday, which day was this? This was December 29th. And then later on, I said, thanks for hearing me out. That's whenever I confronted him. I said, I mean no harm. All we want to... And then later, the next day, Saturday, December 30th, I said, the landlord is stopping tomorrow, because I contacted them again because of this shit. And he said, for what? And I said, since she wants to run around and flip the fuck out constantly, we requested a mediation. And I apologized to her, and it wasn't enough, and it made things worse. So I said, one of them will be here tomorrow. And I said, I don't expect or care for her to like us. I don't give a fuck. And he said, that's what I'm fighting about with her now. I work, but she will be here. Try texting her. I said, she's blocked me on all social media accounts, and this is you guys' first place. I'm not saying that right. I said, our kids can be loud as fuck. And he said, she's not listening to me anymore. I don't know what to do. I said, I understand. Hang on. Blah, blah, blah. And he texted back. He said, she was pissed that you went to the landlord, and now she's pissed at me because I'm telling her the real reason and that you apologize. And now she's angry and stomping around. And I said, Sai, how long does this take for this to blow over? And he's literally just blatantly saying this all over text. So the landlord sees this shit and is like, wow, this girl's like fucking immature. You know what I mean? She didn't say that, but I said, all depends. I'm trying to get her to reason. This is him talking. All depends. I'm trying to get her to reason with me. Once she gets on a rampage, it could take a while. Maybe you could try to message her somehow and apologize. Maybe she'll do the same, but it's getting on nerves about this whole thing. Not about you guys, just the fact that she won't listen. That's how she gets when she's angry. I said, and then he texted back immediately and said, never mind, don't text her or anything. I'll talk to her tomorrow when she cools down. And then, like, I was like, yeah, Vic's in the corner and he's pissed off. We're all pissed. And he said, I'm sorry, I know, but she's starting to annoy me. So later on, the rest of the texts are him just talking, saying, don't kill the messenger, because I was like, what the hell's going on? Because this just continued every single fucking day until, like, pretty much, I think it was like 2 weeks ago. And it's calmed down since then, but it just started up again like 2 days ago. And that's why I decided to make this video again. Because I was like, okay, if she doesn't want to calm down and start being mature about it, I have no problem coming on and giving you guys a fucking warning. Do not ever be the person on the bottom of the fucking house if you're renting. If you ever rent, my fucking, like, thing with you guys is do not ever fucking rent on the bottom of a house. Do not be that person unless you don't give a fuck about noise and noise doesn't bother you. If you don't have kids or a family and you don't care about immature fucking people that live upstairs, then feel free and live wherever you want. But I'm not fucking doing that ever again. In fact, the landlords are letting us out of our lease 2 months early because she knows how immature this girl is. This girl, okay, so whenever we both moved in, the landlord said, do not put your feminine products in the toilet. This is where everything else goes, because basically the confrontation was that day that I showed you. One day we went out we were in the house and her bigger friend comes over and is like, let's just Blair, I don't fuck with you. There's that song she played. Like, I'm telling you, the fucking mentality of a little kid, this emo girl who changes her hair to what her personality fits. It reminds me of Eternal Sunshine. And I'm not I feel like I'm being rude but like, she would always say that in the car on the way to work. She's like, I change my hair according to my mood or my personality. And it reminded me of the movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, where Clementine changes her hair according to her mood. And I was just like, that is so copied. And it's just like, that's what she's made up of. She's made up of personalities of other people. And I'm sorry, but there are people like that out there. And like I said in the beginning, everybody deserves a chance. Everybody does. But whenever somebody knows that you have a child with, like, behavioral problems, she knew. She was there with them at times. Like, she knows how he can get and continues to stomp around. The immaturity level of that, the disgusting, fucking, hateful backlash that, you know, she puts, all because I called the landlord. The girl who said, if you're ever depressed or sad, you know, let me know and I'll talk to you. But yet stops a friendship because I contact the landlord. So it got worse from her from then on out because, you know, there's other factors involved that were, you know, put into place and are still put into play and taking place at this moment, because basically she started her shit up again. It calmed down for 2 weeks because that confrontation happened. Then I think it was that night, or no, I'm sorry, it was the next night. The cops were involved. We came home. I bought this like slot machine for the house. We like fixed it all up and made it look nice because it looks pretty. We want to get like a pinball machine eventually. And we're moving out. So we want to have like a game room in the new place and things like that. And then next year we'll have a house. I remember coming home from the mall and I was actually friends with Jason, the real Jason, like, and him and I went to the mall and I seen her up at the mall, Kiki, and she was in Spencer's and she was holding up the whole, oh my God, what is that show called? Not Rick and Morty. It's the childish show on Cartoon Network. It's like Powerpuff Girls or something, and she's holding up a shirt from it. And I'm just like, you are everything everybody else comes up with. Like, you are literally what is known as a poser, showing yourself off as an emo. You are putting a label on yourself blatantly, and I am just so grossed out by it. Like, I am. Like, did you ever, like, feel a disgust for somebody where it's like, you're near, like, and that's it. Like, that's what I felt the whole time. Like, it was like something was just off about her. Like, something's not right. And I think that was it. Like, that she's just made up of everybody else in the world. Like, she has no personality. Like, it's just, it's gross. And I am appalled by it. So I remember seeing her at the mall that night, and we both got home at the same time, and she had her friend with her, the big one. Who knows where her kid is at this point. Like, her kid's, like, never with her anymore. I don't know what's going on, but and that's none of my business. That's fine. And she literally they're both on the porch, and during that day I blew everything up. Like, the confrontation was the day before, so the next day I was like, you know what, the stomping, the music, she didn't listen to us, she wouldn't look me in the eye, she's a coward, so coward is what coward does, whatever. And I made sure that, you know, they started putting their beer cans and their trash all up on the side of the house. So I called, Victor's dad is the chairman of the borough of the town that we live in. So we called him and we're like, this trash needs moved now. So the city came, left the thing on their door. You know, we did a bunch of things just to say, hey, you know what I mean? You want to fuck with us, like, get your shit cleaned up and get your shit in order before you want to start shit with us. And it was bad. So they had to come out and put trash in the back of their cars. Now, we let them use our trash can. And it was sitting there for like a month or whatever. Yeah, since like the end of last month. So maybe a month and a half, like from Christmas, whatever. And we're like, we want our trash can back. So we opened the trash cans full of beer bottles, like full of just liquor bottles, beer bottles, and then litter. Now, they have a cat. And the cat they got was off of like, I don't remember who it was. I think it was like somebody, but the cat was the only one left over, and it was really sick. She had no regards to get this cat to the vet. She's like, oh, it'll go away on its own. And the last time I seen that cat, and I already reported it, she had a huge ulcer on her mouth. And Kiki's like, oh no, she's fine. And her breath was horrible. And I'm just like, this cat's sick. You need to get this cat to the vet. Oh no, it's fine. So the next day, even though we weren't like really fighting, I was like, hey, you know, I whispered to somebody who, you know, got a hold of somebody, and I hope that they fix that issue. As far as I know, I don't even think they have the cat anymore, but that's fucking gross. Like, that's mean, and that's gross, and that's hateful. You know what I mean? And so there's that. But back to the trash can, I open it, and it's full of litter, it's full of old shit, and we put it where, you know, the trash guy came back before they put the thing on the door, and we're like, we want our trash can back. He's like, take it. So we dumped their trash all over the ground for them to pick up. Like, they came out, they had to clean up everything on the porch, they had to clean up everything on the side. Like, literally, it's just like, I'm not dealing with this anymore. Like, I'm not. So the noise stopped from then on out because the cops were called that night. Like I said, we came down, her and her whatever friend is there, and I just said, look, you want to keep this up? I was like, the landlord specifically told us we need to work this out. You need to work this out. I don't have to do anything. I'm like, yes, you do. It's like JROC Family Guy's like, yes, you do. It's the James Bond, the old one, like, but anyway, I was like, yes, you do, like, you have to. And Vic's like, stop, and I'm like, no. And I'm like getting real close. She's like, you're on film, you're here, you're gonna, and you know what, I'm gonna see if I can get the security footage to that. I'm filming this video right now. I don't know if I actually got the footage or not, but if I did, then you've seen it. I was really up close to her, and she has the phone in my face, and I'm just like, you are so fucking gross. Like, there is something wrong with you mentally and physically to be like this. Like, nobody is this immature. Seriously, my stalker is not even this fucking immature. At least he was doing things that were, like, actually fucking affecting me in life, that helped me learn something. Like, I don't even know how to explain it other than it is so fucking gross when a person cannot speak because they are too ashamed to just solve a fucking simple problem as to shutting the fuck up after 10 p.m. And she didn't. So when the cops were called after that, the cops came, and she had this all on video, and she did nothing with it because she knew the way that she was at. And then her fucking friend, the one with the kid, is in my face, and I'm like, you do not threaten me. Like, I was like, there is nothing about you that is threatening to me right now. I was like, do you know this is over? And she's like, your life or your problems are affecting my life. I'm like, who are you? Like, you guys know that thing. It's like, hold on, watch. Wait a minute, who are you? Literally, she's like, your problems are starting to affect my life. I'm like, you don't even live here. I'm like, you're like her bodyguard, which would like not ever amount to anything. They're both, I just, like, I'm not gonna sit here and like, you know, do the whole degrading thing because like she's already degraded herself. Like, all my friends, like everybody in my personal life knows who she is. They know her family. Like, she came, all right, none of my business. So it's just bad. Like, the whole situation's bad. And this is their first place. And to see what, you know, she's done to her very first place, like, her poor fucking boyfriend still talks to us. Like, he talked to us yesterday, or he talked to Vic yesterday. He's like, I'm sorry, man. He's like, I have no fucking idea why she is the way she is. And we're like, well, why do you stay with her? And we figured it out that the only reason he's with her is because he's, you know, he's insecure. He feels like he can't have somebody else. His best fucking friend loves him, and he can't see that. And it's just, it's sad. Like, she was like, the one day in the car, she's like, I'm not gonna give him these rings if he's gonna act like that. She bought these rings off of Amazon for him. And I was like, oh, that's sweet. You know what I mean? And she's like, I gave her to Ryder. She's like, I got those rings. She's like, I'm not gonna give them to him if he keeps acting this certain way, if he keeps drinking, if he keeps doing this and that. And I'm just like, wow. Like, your revenge plots are terrible. Like, this is ridiculous. I was like, you know what? You're pure in the aspect that you're just not educated enough to understand anything in the world, but at the same time, your revenge is like so childish that it hurts people. Like, it actually hurts people because it's disgusting. So anyway, the cops came that night. You know, she didn't show the video like anything, and I wish she would because of the way that she acted during that video. But her friend backed off or whatever, and they all ran upstairs like real fast, and Vic called the cops came, and they were just like, I'm sorry this is happening. So they said, you know, we're gonna go ahead if you want. If one more time you guys call the cops, we are going to file harassment charges, because if a person's living in the same sublet and they have personal problems or anything like that, but you can, you know, file harassment for constant. They seen the video, they seen, you know, the messages of her boyfriend blatantly saying like, look, you know, she's doing this on purpose, and that's harassment. That's just constant harassment, and that's what's going to happen to her. And if you guys remember, 2 years ago, I was in with a harassment charge, and the charges are not good. Luckily, mine were dropped to like nothing, but, you know, it's going to withstand in court and look really bad. But right now, I don't really give a fuck. So, like, literally, we'll see what happens. The noise has stopped, but 2 days ago, she literally started up her shit again. She just started the fucking noise, started blaring the shitty country music that I hate, and I'm just like, you know what? Your immaturity, I'm not going to deal with anymore. So the moral of this story, because there is one, it's a story time, but it's a good one, is I know my demographic starts at like 15, and it can go up to like, on this channel, it goes up to like 30, 40 years old. I've even had people up in the range of 65 plus, and if you guys, especially my younger viewers, ever want to rent a place, I know that like your first place is the best. Like you're so excited to move to somewhere new. You're so excited that you could even get a place because you have no background history, you know, things like that. Whatever you do, excuse me, do not rent a low apartment. Do not rent somewhere that's below somebody else. Even though the landlords promised, you know what I mean? It's not their fault. They have listened to this shit since Christmas and they're disgusted at this point. Like they are just appalled. Like they're amazing people. They are amazing people. Sorry about that. We're moving out of the area soon. They have properties all over and we're renting from them another year. And they know to make sure to warn about these people because, you know, then you think to yourself, well, why didn't they evict them? Okay, what happens if they do evict them? You know, what happens if they would? With all the shit that they know about them and everything, you know, it's grounds for eviction, like it's past that point. But what happens whenever they do that? Let's see, another couple moves in and they have to deal with us moving out here in like a month. Number one. Number two, they're probably going to be loud, them moving their shit out. So it's like, what's best? Them riding out their lease, which is literally like a month or two after ours, or us, you know, moving out here in a month and, you know, just dealing with that. So it's kind of like one of those sticky situations. It has nothing to do with the landlords. They did nothing wrong. I appreciate her listening to me on Christmas Eve or whatever. Like, that was very cool of her. Like, she's awesome. She just literally showed us the place that she just bought. And I think it's, you know, she chose us to rent out first. And I think that's awesome. So another year and we'll have our own house. We have the means right now to be able to put down on a house, but at the same time, my credit is poor. So I could never, you know what I mean, actually get a mortgage or whatever. So I have to build that credit up over a year. Right now I'm in the stage where I absolutely have everything pretty much paid off and it's just up from here. So again, my advice to you guys is never fucking, please never rent from not somebody because they're good landlords, but never rent a place that is below somebody unless you are accustomed to noise and you have no problem with it. We have no problem with it during the day. We have kids that run back and fucking forth all day long. You know what I mean? That has to be annoying. I was up in their apartment a few times with them, just during times of, you know, they invited us up for a minute or something or things like that or needed help. Like, they're not even allowed to have like a dishwasher, right? And they literally bought a dishwasher, and then one day the dishwasher hose snapped and all, like something that connects to the water line, it snapped off and all the water poured from their kitchen down into my son's room onto my son's bed. And the landlord had to come fix it and he was just disgusted by it. Like, he was like, you guys need to get that the hell out of there. This is not fair. Like, they follow, well, you know what? She follows no rules. She has no regard or respect for anybody. She's constantly getting reported at her work. Like, literally the shit that's why I was like, this needs to be a part 2. But you know what? I think I got everything summed up in here. Be careful who, you know, you trust or put, you know, confidence in or anything. Like, you know, everybody needs to be careful, especially somebody who has the image of literally the emo, you know, kind of thing, or like a certain image. Usually people who follow trends and are just like one fucking trend that's like so easy to pick out are people with no personality and extreme insecurities that will be taken out on somebody else if, you know, the means to do so. And again, it is so fucking immature to the point where it's like, okay, what am I gonna do here? Like, this is like hurting us. The immaturity, you know, level that they're putting on us, like the revenge or whatever, is immature, but it's damaging. And that is why I chose to make this video today. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wait till I move out. I'm still gonna make it, but I'm gonna wait till I move out to save, you know, all the problems that I fucking suffered from and my kids suffered from and everything like that. And no, like, it's done. It's done and over with. And that's it. So we are moving out in a month. And again, my advice to you is stay away from people who look like they are just literally the trend that was made in the first place. And that's all I got. So I love you guys with all of my person. I hope this dramatic story time was good enough for you guys. I hope the footage, you know, helped. Moving on from here, what's happening is, again, one more time they decide to piss us off enough and we make the phone call to the police. Harassment charges will be pressed. And I know she's going to be watching this video because she pouted to Jason, and Jason came down and pouted to us because he's tired of her shit, and he's like, please, just, you know, save the shit from happening. Like, not with the video, but he's like, this shit has to stop, like, I'm done with it. And I'm just like, you know, that's sad. Like, I'm sorry for you, man. I really hope you realize your worth, because you're a good fucking person. So, a little bit insecure, and that's fine, but stop letting people need to stop letting their insecurities, like, dictate, you know, who they are as a person. Like her. She is Kiki Cannibal, and this is Kiki Cannibal if you guys wanted to know. Stop. Like, just stop. Stop. Ron, stop. Okay. So thank you guys again for watching. I love you guys with all of my person, and I'll see you in the next video. Let me know what you think about this, or if I should do like a second story time with some of the stories that she told me about, like, alright, bye.